plugins. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to access and use and install plugins, which are small little add-on programs that you can integrate with MuseScore to provide additional functionality. They will implement basically commands that are not provided by default. And so I'm going to show you a couple of built-in plugins that you can take advantage of, and then I'll show you how to install a plugin, an external plugin. So let's start by going to the Plugins menu, and then you'll see Manage Plugins. And this is going to show you a list of the plugins that are available on your system. And I have quite a number of these available because I've installed some previously, but by default you would have a handful available because MuseScore comes with a set of plugins already. So I'm going to go ahead and enable two of these. I'm going to pick the Add Courtesy Accidentals plugin, and by selecting it, then I will click Enable, and you'll see it shows up in the list of the plugins that are enabled. And then I'm also going to take the converse one, Remove Courtesy Accidentals, and enable that. Enabling it doesn't run the plugin. It makes it available to use. So when you see that it's here under Enabled, you'll know that you're ready to be able to use the plugin. So I'm going to return now to my score by clicking the Score tab on the main toolbar. And now I want to show you how those plugins work. I'm just going to go ahead and select my entire score. This plugin is designed to work on a selection. And I'm going to go to Plugins, and then you'll see now there is Composing Arranging Tools, and those plugins are listed. So let's talk about what they do. The Add Courtesy plugin, Add Courtesy Accidentals plugin, is going to add what are called courtesy accidentals. You see I have an E flat in my first measure here. My second measure has what is basically an E natural because it's, the bar line cancels the accidental, but normally in music notation we like to put in what's called a courtesy accidental. We'll put a natural sign on that note just to remind the reader that that accidental is in fact canceled. It makes a big difference in readability. So if I could do that manually by selecting this note and then adding the natural sign and do that everywhere throughout the score, but the plugin can do this for me. So if I pick Add Courtesy Accidentals, you'll see the natural sign appeared automatically where needed. Now it knows to only look at the next measure. Here you'll see I have a G sharp, but it did not add a courtesy accidental to this G that appears several measures later. So the Courtesy Accidentals plugin will just add the ones in the very next measure. And then you can also select all in the score and then use the Remove Courtesy Accidentals plugin to remove courtesy accidentals. And now the natural sign is gone, but the original accidentals remain. So that's a very useful plugin I actually use pretty much all the time when I'm done with a piece. I'll go ahead and run Add Courtesy Accidentals, and then if I feel like adding some more myself, I can. So that's how you can run the plugins. I want to show you also that you can define keyboard shortcuts for them. So if I go to the plugins, Manage Plugins, and I select Add Courtesy Accidentals, you'll see it says Edit Shortcut. So I can then click that button, and it will now show me a list, it'll allow me to customize the shortcut. And so I'm going to, in this dialog, select the name of the plugin and then click the Define button. And now I can hit a key to make that the shortcut. And I have to pick something that's not already being used that I think is available. I'm going to try Y. It looks like Y is good, so I will say Save and then OK. And so now when I go to my score, I can just select all with Control A and press Y, and boom, the accidental appeared. So you can define keyboard shortcuts for your plugins. So again, MuseScore comes with a number of plugins. Those are the ones I think are the most useful. But I want to also show you how you can install other plugins. So I'm going to go over to the MuseScore website. In particular, I'm going to go just to the main page of musescore.org. And now I'm going to click Download and then Plugins. When I do this, I'm going to get a list of all of the available plugins, and there's quite a lot because this is including some that were written for MuseScore 2, some that only work with MuseScore 3 and haven't yet been updated for MuseScore 4. The one I am going to install and use here is one that I've created myself, and it's called Align, and I think you'll find this one very useful as well. So if I click Align in the list, I can then, you'll see there's an attachment here. I'll click the attachment and it will allow me to download that plugin. The place we're going to download it to is our plugins folder. So what I'm going to do is go to where my scores folder is, but then I'm going to go up one level to the MuseScore or MuseScore 4 folder. It'll probably be called on your system. And then you'll find the plugins folder. Right next to the scores folder is your plugins folder. And when you go there, you'll see any plugins that you have previously installed. And so this is then where you would save that plugin. And in fact, I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to bother saving it again, but this is where I would save that plugin. And if you have saved the plugin into this folder, then it will then become available for you to enable. Some plugins are zip files, so you might have to download them into the plugins folder and then use the controls, the various facilities on your computer, the file browser, to unzip that file. But you'll want to start by placing it in your plugins folder. So with that plugin downloaded, you will also then, after downloading plugins, you may have to restart MuseScore before it will see the plugin. So if I now go to Manage Plugins, I'm going to see Align listed here as one of the available plugins because it's downloaded into that folder. Well, I'm going to go ahead and select it and give it a shortcut L, which I've actually already done. But again, I'll select the plugin in the list, click Define, type L, and there's my shortcut. And but I need to also enable the shortcut. Enable the plugin. So now you'll see Add Courtesy Accidentals, Align, and Remove Courtesy Accidentals are the plugins that I have enabled. So now when I return to my score, if I look at the plugins menu, I'll see Align is available with a shortcut of L. Well, let's look at what this shortcut does and why I think you'll find it useful. Let me select a couple measures here and press L, and I think you'll be able to see what happens. Notice it took all of those text elements that were just sitting right above the notes and it aligned them together at the same vertical level there. I can do the same with the notes below the staff. I can select this whole range here, press L, and now those text elements are aligned below the staff. It works also, say, for articulations. I've got some accent marks here. Select that measure, press L, and they align as well. You can also align things like hairpins. To do that, you actually have to select them individually. So I can click one and control click another, and then press L, and they are aligned. So it's a very useful plugin I've created and made available for you to install and use as you see fit. So that's the story of using plugins, and MuseScore 4 is relatively new, so it has a slightly different format for plugins. So most plugins that were written for MuseScore 3 need to be updated before they will work with MuseScore 4, and that process is still ongoing. So when you look at the list on the website, on MuseScore website, you'll see some plugins say they work with either 3 or 4. A number only work on 3, and some probably only work on 4 because they've only been written recently. So over time, I would expect more and more plugins to become available for MuseScore 4. So plugins add a lot of capability to MuseScore, and there's you'll hear me talk about them over and over. So this is how you can go about installing them and using them.